just be a compilation of what I'm doing for the next week or so for my small business, which is Rooney Sewing Patterns. And I'm just going to take you along on what I'm doing. So today I'm going to sew the Betty dress in a green fabric, and then we're going to shoot it later on this week, and I'll take you along the whole process. I started off my work week by sewing a new Betty dress. I picked up this green rayon fabric from Joann Fabrics. It's really nice to work with. It kind of looks like a linen and has a nice texture with being really flowy and airy still. So I thought it would be really pretty and some springy photos. So I'll link the fabric below if I can find it. And this is the Betty pattern. It's the first pattern we have released for Rooney Sewing Patterns, and it's such a great beginner project, and the more I make it, I just see how simple it is, and I'm making it over a few days because my days have been kind of spread out, but I love how it ended up in the photos, which I'll show you later on in the video. Next, I sat down and did some pinning on Pinterest and writing out of some ideas for a writing project that I'm working with a friend on. And then I went to Hobby Lobby. Sometimes it's a hit or miss with fabrics there, but today I was just scoping out some fabrics to see if they had anything that caught my eye. I like these crinkle fabrics right here. I feel like they have a nice texture after they are washed. And then I took some notes on some fabric that I'd like to buy another day. It's the next day and I'm still sewing up the Betty dress for the shoot tomorrow. Today I had a few meetings and did a little loose ends for Rooney, and so all I'm doing is really just finishing up the dress so that I can shoot it tomorrow. Today is photo shoot day, so I'm just grabbing everything and getting some loose ends on the dress figured out and sewn up. And then I packed up everything into my car and headed to my sister-in-law's house where we shot the photos. We just set up in this little sunroom in the corner, and I thought the photos just turned out so nice. It was an overcast day and it just made all of the colors come to life. And here are a few sneak peeks of the photos. So it's another day. It's Thursday, so on Fridays I have Sabbath, which is something my husband and I do together. We do as a family, so I don't work or turn my phone on or anything. So today's kind of like my last day to work before the weekend. I'm cutting out a Lois wrap onesie. We have to redo some photos soon for some packaging where it's coming. It's coming, guys. So I'm working on that. I'm wearing the Ada Lounge set. This is actually like the first trial run of the set, so it's a little different. Just some random things going on today. I forgot this. Hopefully that works. I have a pattern of the Lois wrap onesie that I'm cutting out right now. And while I do this, I am gonna answer some small business questions that some of you asked me on Instagram. If you ever have any questions like this, just send them my way and I'll answer them in a future video. But today I'm gonna just answer them as I'm cutting out these patterns. How did you get started? So how I got started was, I'm just gonna talk about how I got started with small business in general. So I went to college, kind of did the normal thing. I moved away, I went to college, and I did a 2-year program instead of going to get my bachelor's, and it was a really great experience. And then afterwards I was going to continue at a larger school, like a state school, in the town that I moved to in Missouri. And then I was like signed up for everything, and I think I was signed up for merchandising, like fashion merchandising. And it was 2 weeks before school started, and I just woke up one day and it was like that feeling, like an inward feeling that I shouldn't go to school, and I didn't have a next step. I just was like, I shouldn't go to school. So I told my parents, and they were so on board, which is awesome. And so I withdrew from school like 2 weeks before it started. And then I was like, okay, I need to get a job. So I applied for all of these jobs, and I didn't get it. Like, I didn't get called back or anything for any of the jobs, which in hindsight is a good thing. And at this point I had started my blog maybe like a year earlier, and my parents were just like, you should sell things that you make. And I was just against that. I did not want to do that at all. And then I got a little desperate. None of these jobs were calling me back. I opened an Etsy shop, and from there I made everything myself. And then I had that business for 6 years, and from that started another business called the Tire Cover Shop, which I still have. And I mean, it all started with a blog, and it started with just sharing what I like to do, which is make things, and it's evolved, and I've started Rooney from the same passion and the same things. So really, I have my parents to thank, encouraging me to start my business. They're awesome. Okay, so the next question is about marketing and if you should have an Etsy shop or a Shopify. So I have both an Etsy shop and a WordPress. I have a WordPress shop with WooCommerce. I think Shopify is easier to manage than WooCommerce, so I would look into that. But I definitely recommend having both an Etsy and a regular website. But I do recommend having your own website because that's something you own, something you drive traffic to, something that you can kind of be more in control of. So Etsy is definitely beneficial, especially because Etsy has a strong search engine and they have a strong following of people that trust Etsy. So definitely recommend having both. And how I market things is through consistently posting on Instagram, Pinterest, SEO, my blog, and that's mainly it right now. I would definitely focus more on SEO and Pinterest more than Instagram. When you do Pinterest, I would pin daily like 10 to 15 times, but not only pinning your own stuff, only pinning like 2 to 3 things of your own, and then everything else pin around what your brand is and how you see your brand, images that serve your vision and your ideal customer. And so when you're doing that, Pinterest is a way to curate your brand identity, and so I would just focus on that and definitely get into creating I think they're called story pins or idea pins. It's a new thing that they're testing out, but get on that like right now. It's been so beneficial, and it's fun to be able to create little stories on Pinterest. I recommend that for sure. But the thing I love about Pinterest and SEO means search engine optimization, and it's like your blog or any words that are going to drive a search engine to point to your website or product or anything that you offer. And so when you're focusing on that, you're focusing on how you can serve someone that is searching what you have. And you want to focus on serving the customer, giving them information that they're searching for. And there's so many amazing resources on this, so definitely look on SEO. The reason I say focus on Pinterest and SEO and your blog and your website is because, one, you own your website and your blog and all those things, and that can't be taken from you. You don't own Pinterest, but I will say those things live on. Things that I pinned 9 years ago, I still get notifications daily that they're getting repinned, and you want to focus on content that's going to live on. So content that you post on Pinterest and SEO, or Pinterest and your website, that's going to live on because people can still find it. When you post something on Instagram, it just gets lost in the mess. So that is like 15 minutes or your 15 seconds of fame, and then your website and everything else, like I said, of Pinterest, that's going to live on. People are going to be able to find it. So when you focus on serving people, offering quality information and helpful service to others, that is, I think, the best way to market. And then also look into Google Ads and all that stuff. So that's all my advice for that. How did you learn to keep your own books and manage the financial side of running a business? And the thing is, I use QuickBooks, and then I also have someone else do it for me so that things aren't missed. So I definitely just recommend hiring an accountant, someone you trust, someone that knows what they're talking about and what they're doing, and getting QuickBooks for your business. Do that. How many hours do you work, and do you work with your daughter? I think it started in March. My husband and I had decided that we wanted to invest in my business, Rooney. So doing that would have me not being with my daughter full time. We have nannies come throughout the week, and they're with Willow while I'm working throughout the day, and then there's a couple days where Jordan, my husband, is with Willow on the days that he's not with his job. So our schedule's a little different than the normal schedule. In the mornings, I spend time with my daughter and then our family, and then throughout the day from about 9 to 3 or 4, depending on the day, I am working. So I work on Rooney and my other business, the tire cover shop, throughout the day, and then at like 3 or 4 I stop working, and then I'm with Willow till she goes to bed, and my husband, and then I sometimes work at night depending on the week and what I have to get done. But I work about, I would say, like anywhere from 25 to 30 hours a week. For the most part right now, that's what I work, and it's been working out for us, and it kind of changes month to month depending on what's going on. I love having Willow here in the shed with me while I'm making things, but I don't necessarily do it while I'm working because my attention is split. If I'm making something for fun, I love for her to be in here. I think it's really important for her to grow up around me actually creating, and then she's going to be able to create it herself. So I'm excited for her to like be able to get into crafts and stuff. And then the last question is, did you gain followers organically, and how? I think this is funny because I've actually lost like a couple thousand followers in the past year, which in my eyes like is kind of funny, but at the same time I understand because I've just shifted a lot of things that I've done, and also I think it's actually a good thing to lose followers and kind of weed out the people that aren't necessarily there for what you're doing and they don't necessarily connect with you. So I think it's okay to lose followers, but I think it's funny that I'm being asked about growing on Instagram when I feel like I'm not growing at all, which is totally normal. But yeah, it's been years and years of growing organically. I haven't like spiked up and gone viral. It's just been the consistent work of showing up and not showing up when I don't feel like it's serving my personal life. So I have grown over the years, but at the same time, like I said earlier, it's about the long run, it's about things that last, and I've just learned with Instagram that it isn't very lasting, and I love it for the connections that I made. And now I actually feel like I've made so many more lasting connections than I ever have, so I'm really thankful about that. So my husband brought in some packages of a new camera that I ordered and a sewing camp sample sweatshirt that I've been waiting on, and I love the end product. I will link both of these below. I'm gonna get my new camera set up, I'm gonna clean up my shed and get ready for my day off tomorrow, the weekend, all of that stuff. So this is what we're working with. Here's the before. Here is the after. All right, I'm gonna stop the video here so that I can get my new camera set up and everything and get ready for the weekend. I enjoyed sharing this random small business video with you. I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you make something and enjoy the process along the way. I'll be back next week with a tutorial, so you can subscribe to make sure that you see that. I'll see you next week. Bye.